Hello, I would like to go over a small project from my hobby projects pipeline I put together over Christmas. It's a tradespace analysis tool. I'm not going to go over what is tradespace analysis. You can find a link to a lecture on that in the video description. You can get some idea on it while we go over the workflow and features. The problem that we are trying to solve is to make the optimal choice from a set of options. We are going to calculate multi-attribute utility for each choice. Choice could be anything from picking a house or a car to making the choice of design architecture for a new satellite. Here I downloaded a CSV file with some car data. It isn't great, doesn't have a year attribute, but will be good enough for a demo. The decision is based on our biases, so the best choice for example, a house will be different for a single person, small family, or a retired couple. It is also optimal for a given point in time, since your preferences might change. The file requirements for the tool is that it needs to be comma separated. Headers are labels for the columns. Data in the columns can be numeric, like the engine size, or string, like fuel type. We need to have one label called name and one label called cost. So let's try to load the file. The tool will come up with some default weights and attribute curves for us that we need to adjust. For numeric data, the default curve will be linear, inclining from 0 to 1, where 1 is 100%, which means the higher the attribute value, the better. For strings, the curve will just enumerate values. The attribute curve section will show us the curve plot, the label, so fuel type in this case, the weight that we assign to it, and we can flick through all the attributes. So the first one is fuel type, and the next one is door number and the car body, and so on. The plot below shows overall scores, utilities for each choice versus cost. The best ideal choice would be to get all for nothing, so zero cost and 100% utility. It's not realistic, but this is where our best value for money will be pointing to. So let's go over the attributes and see what happens when we start adjusting based on our priorities. The first one is the fuel type, and let's leave it default. Gas 0% and diesel 100%, which means I'm only interested in diesel cars. I will give it only 5% because it's not my top concern. And we can see all the diesel cars scored up now. So next is the door number, and again I'll leave it as default. I don't really want two-door car, and I care about this a bit more, so let's give it 15%. And we hit update. So next one is car body. Say it's my everyday car, so I only want hatchback or and a sedan, but prefer a hatchback. So let's adjust that. So hatchback gets 100%. Sedan is fine, but I like it a bit less. Those guys get 0. And the percentage, I'm gonna put it as 10%. Let's see what happens. Okay, next one is drive. You can't really drive rear drive and don't care much about off-road, so my best choice is forward. Let's put weight 10%. Hit update. And the next one is engine size. Let's say it's bigger the better, but 150 is as good as I need. Also, anything bigger, I don't want to pay higher tax, so it's actually declining again. Don't care much about it, so 5%. So let's add a column here to say 150 is gets 100%, and anything bigger it's declining and 5%. Next one is horsepower. Let's say bigger the better, but above 180 is as good as I need, and weight 10%. So add 180, 80, and here as good as it gets. So any higher score won't really matter. Hit update. Okay. So next one is important for me. Don't want to spend much for gas. First I have to reverse the curve, which means smaller the better. I will give it a 20%, so that's the city mile per gallon. So we need to reverse the curve. So 1, 0, and we said we give it 20% update. Now next one is highway miles per gallon, and it's most important as I want to travel around every weekend. So again, smaller the better, and it gets 25%. So we reverse the curve, 0, and we say 25%, and hit update. Let's scroll down. We ended up with something more like a cloud of points. When we hover over individual points, we can see a label with some attribute. Which we can change over here. So now we want to see just the name of the car. We said earlier that the ideal point is here. So the most value for money for our set of requirements would be somewhere here. You can move along the border of the point cloud to find ideal car for your budget. So here are some more expensive cars. Anything within the point cloud, you can always find for a given budget. You can find choice with the better utility. So the best choices for a given budget are on the border of that cloud, on the top left border of the cloud, and it's called Pareto line. So you can mark some choices here, and that's your Pareto line. You don't need to set curves and wait for all attributes. Sometimes filtering is good enough, and you can do it from the parallel coordinates plot. So, for example, I really care only about front wheel drive, and this time I just want the gas car and exclude diesel. Click anywhere on the axis to undo it. Here. You can filter multiple, like I want just a hatchback and a wagon for some reason. So here's the wagon and here's the hatchback. And again, I'll click anywhere to undo it. It's a brainstorm iterative process, so it's good to tweak stuff and see how it affects some choices. So let's say my wife really wants a four-wheel drive. So let's go here and adjust the curve. So I'm gonna set here 1 and say 0.2, and it's really important now. Say hit the update and you see how everything changes. So few things to wrap up. Weights should add up to 100. So if you add up all those weights, it should add up to 100, and there is no error handling for it, so you need to make sure it's right. When you're done, you can save the file including the attribute curves and weights, and next time you load it, it will keep your previous work. So let's try to do it. Save. So, okay, I have it now, and I'll just reload to default and load the tradespace this time. So this is the default name, and we can see everything we've done. It's saved. The file format is still a CSV, but a bit different. I'm not going to cover it in this video. It's a browser tool made with D3 library and React framework. Given the extremely limited time for developing this, it covers only critical features with almost no error handling. You can find the link in the description and give it a go. Hope you found this useful. Bye.